The Law of Assumption, written and published by Sacred SoulSync. You're what you think. This profound quote reflects one of the most powerful principles governing our lives, the law of assumption. Simply put, what we assume to be true in our minds is what manifests in reality. Many spiritual teachers and New Thought leaders have spoken of this mystical force that shapes our external world according to our internal beliefs. By changing what we assume to be real, we can literally alter our future. This law initially baffled and intrigued me. Does this imply we have some supernatural ability to manipulate reality at will? Can we really override facts or common sense by merely changing our assumptions? I pondered these questions extensively until I had an insight during meditation. We do not actually change reality itself. Rather, we select which aspect of reality we give our attention and consent to experiencing. Reality is far more abundant than our senses reveal. At every moment, there are limitless possibilities waiting to unfold. However, most people only grant their belief and consent to what seems familiar or probable based on past conditioning and assumptions. When we consciously choose to withdraw our assumption from what is and extend it to what could be instead, we shift our experiential focal point to a different set of pre-existing realities. This illuminates why genuine faith and conviction are integral to consciously applying the law of assumption. Half-hearted wishes or fleeting fantasies alone cannot transport us across realities. We must inhabit the feeling, embody the energy, and commit to the assumptions supporting our desired outcome fully before it solidifies from the realm of potential into our living reality. Of course, this raises the question, what happens when two or more people embrace conflicting assumptions? Whose version of reality will prevail? Generally speaking, the individual or group exerting greater conviction and consistency in their assumptions creates a stronger energetic influence to shape outcomes in their favor. However, win-lose mentalities only breed more discord. The highest application of the law of assumption recognizes that we are all equal co-creators, sculpting reality from the same infinite, loving consciousness. All perceived obstacles or differences dissipate into open-hearted collaboration when we align ourselves with universal truth and our shared essence of spirit. When two passionate assumptions clash, rather than competing for supremacy, the universe beautifully weaves an alternative, co-created solution. There need not be one winner and one loser. Parallel realities can harmoniously blossom. If conflicting parties shift to trust-based, win-win assumptions focused on collective good rather than self-interest, they magnetize realities where everyone's needs feel met. The implications of this universal law fascinate me. They revolutionize how we view personal empowerment and create positive change. Right now, you hold the power to radically re-envision your existence or the state of the world by first changing the dominant assumptions, beliefs, and perceptions alive within your consciousness. Replacing disempowering assumptions with uplifting, empowering ones sets into motion tangible transformations expressed through you. When this occurs collectively across enough individuals igniting transformation within, external shifts ripple out on global scales. Chapter 1. Living in 4 Dimensions, a Journey of Self-Discovery. Lesson 1. Shaping Reality Beyond Perception. We all have untapped potential within us, waiting to be unleashed. Too often, we fail to realize our capabilities, instead conforming to limiting beliefs about what we can achieve. But what if reality as we know it is merely a shadow, a restricted cross-section of a far more expansive world, existing just beyond the limits of our perception? By harnessing the power of our minds, we can transcend the boundaries of the 3-dimensional world and shape a future aligned with our deepest desires. The noted philosopher Baruch Spinoza observed that we do not know what the body can do. Its possibilities likely exceed anything we can presently conceive. I contend the same applies to the human mind. Our future remains unwritten, brimming with potential. Man alone possesses the power to determine his direction and alter his life's course at will. Our attitudes and beliefs wield tremendous influence over our fate. Human potential has an elastic, adaptable quality. Like ethereal strands of gossamer, the filaments of destiny respond to the slightest touch, bending and twisting into new patterns at our command. With focused awareness and determination, we can transform not only ourselves, but also the world. Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated this ability via lofty moral principles and quiet dignity, which he leveraged to liberate India from imperial bondage. His personal philosophy of nonviolent non-cooperation inspired a movement that peacefully overthrew an empire. He altered the social and political structure of the entire subcontinent through the strength of his beliefs. The foundations of our identity shape each choice and experience. Our self-concept serves as the bedrock upon which our personal reality rests. Shift the base, and everything built upon it shifts accordingly. Psychological research by Stanford professor Carol Dweck has shown that people who believe their abilities can grow through dedication and hard work generally achieve greater success compared to those with fixed assumptions about aptitude. Your willingness to see yourself in a new light opens up new paths to walk upon. Lesson 2. Shaping reality through self-perception. Our self-perception operates akin to a film projector, casting the movie of our lives onto the screen of material reality. The nature of the film strip imposes limitations on what appears in the world around us. But we remain always in control of the images imprinted on that celluloid, authoring our personal narrative according to whichever vision we choose. At every turn, we inhabit a mental universe of assumptions and ideas about who we are and what we deserve. Most fail to question the roots of these implicit beliefs, instead allowing unexamined convictions to dictate their perspective. People who view themselves as incapable experience far different lives compared to those who see themselves as confident and competent. All too often, this dichotomy persists simply because it aligns with their internalized self-image, reinforcing pre-existing notions without basis. The choices we confront may seem trivial, with a minor impact. Yet, even insignificant seeming decisions often diverge as small ripples into waves that sweep us down dramatically disparate paths. Standing at the crossroads of possibility, every act plants seeds, conscious or not, that blossom and turn into our harvest of resultant experience. An inspired thought or casual remark can resonate through the universe and redirect destinies. As esteemed psychiatrist Viktor Frankl observed during his internment in Nazi death camps, even under the most extreme oppression, people retain sovereignty over their perspectives and mental orientation toward life. He witnessed prisoners who devoted themselves to purposes beyond mere survival exhibit unusual resilience and dignity in the face of intolerable conditions. By clinging to transcendent values, they resisted the degradation of their humanity, regardless of their plight. His seminal book Man's Search for Meaning contends that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Like an iceberg rendering only its apex to the voyager, most of reality's bulk lies concealed beneath the threshold of our notice. Every conscious moment afloat upon the ocean of being represents but a fragment of ourselves and our capabilities. In states of intense focus and contemplation, the mundane recedes and revelation emerges. Inspired thinkers, including Nikola Tesla, frequently described themselves as vessels through which ideas originated from a higher source beyond the terrestrial realm. "My brain is only a receiver," declared Tesla. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. History abounds with accounts of epiphanies and eureka moments emerging unexpectedly to shape human knowledge and advancement. Mystics derived profound realization through inward exploration beyond the strictures of routine consciousness. Your beliefs are merely ripples on the surface of a fathomless identity. In the oceanic depths dwell currents of wisdom, creativity, and inspiration, ever available for those bold enough to dive and immerse rather than simply floating adrift. By taking the helm of your awareness and sinking below the waves of assumption and expectation, you can tap into an innate genius beyond the ego, charting a course defined by your highest purposes. Lesson 3. From imagination to reality, mastering life's inner stage. Consciousness comprises the context within which the events of our lives unfold. While the future appears as a linear narrative already mapped by fates, true reality exists always in the present. All that you experience transpires within and because of your awareness. The outer drama stands as a mirror, reflecting back to you the contents and movements of your inner realm. Here, time loses its linear structure, eliding past and future, cause and effect, into an eternal now, the immediate moment brimming with creative potential. Physicists posit that only a blurry probabilistic cloud of quantum possibilities spreads ahead of each instant. The act of observation, that is, conscious attention and engagement, condenses reality from the realm of potential into the definite and measurable. In a very real sense, conscious awareness summons events into being. By consciously focusing your powers of observation and imagination, you can learn to manipulate reality to manifest outcomes aligned with your goals. Every action first plays out on the inner stage before projecting outward into external experience. Ideas, plans, and mental rehearsals precede physical deeds. Behind the eyes observing occurrences runs an inner identity overseeing the proceedings and making choices that shape the proceedings. Without the witnessing consciousness that you have, physical actions carry no meaning or purpose. Reality comprises two theaters, an outer arena of action involving our bodily senses and an inner space of imagination driven by the heart's desire. Most give attention only to outer effects, regarding imagination as simply idle fantasy with little relevance. But causation runs in both directions. Imagination and assumptions conjure the possibilities from which future events are woven. As modern mystic Neville Goddard noted, the undisciplined mind finds it difficult to assume a state that is denied by the senses. But the principle of nextness makes it simple to encounter events before they happen and to realize that the future event is a reality that already exists in a dimensionally greater world. By consciously determining your attitude and envisioning the reality you intend to inhabit, you collapse possibilities into the actuality of your making. Events and conditions seem fixed and definite only to the degree that you unconsciously relinquish authority over your existence. Awaken to the boundless creative role inherent in your essential nature and recognize the power at your fingertips awaiting full expression. Your imagination serves as a rehearsal studio in which you model and practice the part you intend to play on the grand stage of life. Master first the critical moves within, and in time they will surely materialize without. The more dimensions an object possesses, the more substantive and real it becomes. Similarly, the more of yourself you inhabit and actualize, the richer and more fulfilling your path through life. Famous artist Salvador Dali suggested, "The difference between false memories and true ones is the same as for jewels. It is always the false ones that look the most real, the most brilliant." Our obsession with the tangible and definable represents an incomplete perspective, deprived of deeper context and meaning. By exploring invisible inner states, you gain clarity and control over the realm of form. Detach from any distractions that impede your focus and progress. Lesson 4. Transforming beliefs into manifestation. Behind the scenes, an unseen structuring dynamic determines the unfolding patterns that comprise the waking dream of life. Invisible assumptions and attitudes shape events as definitively as the armature beneath guides the animator's clay. To change the finished product, one must work with the underlying support. Every act follows inevitably from current assumptions, which may lie undetected until brought into the light of conscious reckoning. Psychologists hold that roughly 95% of our behavior operates from the unconscious, implicit beliefs absorbed and reactive impulses driving our movements without any intentional deliberation. Like a winding mountain pass, our path ahead depends upon the trail already traveled thus far. Wherever you stand represents the sum of how you came to that point. Therefore, directing your future means working tangibly with assumptions, expectations, and perspectives lodged deep within, often outside the glow of awareness. By uncovering unconscious motivations and aligning your beliefs consciously with desired outcomes, you wield tremendous influence over your results and experiences. Blind, impulsive reactions give way to responsive mindfulness aligned with values and vision. Initially, this process may feel awkward or unnatural, demanding new neural pathways and habits of thinking. But with time, inspired action emerges fluidly, guided intuitively by a wisdom beyond what the rational mind alone can articulate. Learn to enjoy and trust unfamiliar developments rather than clenching reflexively as the psyche chafes against the edges of its previous limitations. With consistent redirection of attention and curiosity, identity shifts occur, handing you the psychological keys previously hidden. What has felt inaccessible or impossible suddenly presents itself readily when you align yourself with the reality you wish to inhabit. Notable successes often speak of a vision or purpose that seemed to seize them prior to decisive actions that led to wildly unexpected outcomes. They followed some inner compass, heeding inspiration's call and acting from an awareness transcendent of convention and constraint. Einstein conceived of radical new interpretations of space and time years prior to acquiring the math to substantiate them. He later spoke of how equations and proofs simply manifested in his mind once he could clearly envisage their form and significance. When asked about her creative process, acclaimed novelist Isabel Allende emphasized the importance of showing up to do the work rather than waiting passively for inspiration. I write 2 pages. And then, if inspiration doesn't hit, I write 2 more pages without any hope. And then, in the process of doing that, inspiration descends like light. She stresses the significance of dedication and discipline in establishing the necessary inner congruence. Inspiration most often arises in the midst of committed engagement with one's craft, not by languishing aimlessly awaiting its arrival. By consciously diverging from familiar ruts and exploring new terrain, we embark upon what philosopher William James coined, the paths not taken, wherein lie exciting new frontiers of growth and fulfillment. Beyond the limits of current beliefs and identity, always remain more of yourself, a deeper wisdom and broader capability accessible through mindful immersion in imaginary states. Awakening this greater presence happens not primarily through external development, but by consciously burrowing inward to contact the seed essence at your core. Remove the rubble piled atop the source over years of distraction and suppression, and emerge renewed like the phoenix rising boldly from the ashes of its former existence. When we dedicate ourselves to a compelling vision, external elements conspire to help us achieve it. But first, we must take the reins of our own consciousness rather than waiting for the world to provide direction and validation. The creative pulse throbbing at the heart of reality awaits expression and embodiment through human volition. By dissolving the perceptual and ideological filters of limitation, we forever alter the possible. Our individual and collective future unfolds through a million colors never before seen, like witnessing the full spectrum of a rainbow gathering intensity where once only fog obscured the sunlight. Lesson 5. Imagination's power, where vision guides manifestation. Concurrent with the observable material realm flows an unseen ordering force from high-dimensional sources. Physical appearances reflect invisible patterning influences that are undetectable to ordinary modes of assessment. Our typical 3-dimensional conception of the world fails to capture essential characteristics outside of length, width, and depth. To develop greater awareness and self-determination, we must learn to identify and work with the forces of causation operating through and encompassing us. Where visions and imaginings go, manifestation shall obediently follow, carried to shore by probability's waves. Intense yearning coupled with focused imagination generates currents of attraction, stirring customary intuitive channels. Inspired thinkers throughout history credit their breakthroughs to assistance received from autonomous sources once they consciously defined questions and frameworks for viable solutions. At critical junctures, unexpected insight often arrives unbidden, but precisely conforms to specified parameters. Accounts of epiphany and the serendipitous arrival of game-changing intuition abound in the annals of science and artistry. In developing his world-changing insights around gravity and motion, pioneering physicist Isaac Newton affirmed his role less as an original creator and more as a scribe receiving and relaying discovered truths. In his own words, "I keep the subject constantly before me and wait till the first dawnings open slowly, little by little, into a full and clear light." Renowned chemist August Kekulé described realizing the nature of the benzene molecule after seeing its structure clearly in a reverie. "The atoms were gambling before my eyes. My mental eye could now distinguish larger structures of manifold conformation, long rows sometimes more closely fitted together, all twinning and twisting in snake-like motion." Poincaré documented similar flashes of intuitive clarity that arrived in hypnopompic states, bridging sleep and waking. Numerous innovators reference breakthroughs emerging from unconscious realms once they focused consciously on structured frameworks for what viable solutions should entail. Today's prominent creators, including Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla, Salvador Dali, and Albert Einstein, purportedly drew inspiration by mastering the art of hypnagogic dream states, inducing visionary reverie while retaining deliberate direction of content. By consciously defining investigative parameters prior to sleep while holding focused attention to desired solutions, revelations arose reliably upon awakening. The heart's yearning for answers pulls from alternate streams of ideation once restrictive thinking no longer constricts and filters the flow. Creative recognize that imagining vividly is not the same as indulging superficial wants. Reality aligns itself with internal convictions, not simply passing notions. Harness the heightened suggestibility of drifting consciousness and direct it purposefully toward resolute inner aims. Thereby, physical manifestations soon echo imagined outcomes. Technology visionary Elon Musk attests that fully envisioning desired progress kept him persevering through overwhelming setbacks and skepticism of SpaceX rocket programs that now successfully leap beyond gravity's surly bonds. Who can reasonably conceive of vessels later landing intact upon robot rafts at sea? Yet fierce focus on this eventuality helped elicit the means for its achievement. When vividly impressed within, inventions obligingly emerge without. Athlete Roger Bannister broke the elusive 4-minute mile record after visualizing it repeatedly prior. Impossible barriers quickly transform when bold imagination illuminates how and why greater truth awaits discovery by intrepid minds imbued with passion's fiery essence. Like a movie's entertaining drama, the moments comprising your life story depend completely upon the script chosen and the scenery erected behind it. Only that which consciously commands your attention gathers substance. When perception dwells upon lack and uncertainty, more of the same accrues until awareness pivots to align with fulfillment's calming breeze. Should you worry about obscuring the zenith's magnificent glow, tomorrow's sunrise remains ever doubted. But faith in dawn's arrival supports sights rising resplendent from night's lingering gloom. Maintain perspective, independent of circumstance. Where attention persists, manifestation magnifies. By consciously controlling your state of mind amidst sensory storms, serenity and inspiration find fertile soil for blossoming wonders and joy. Blaze trails guided not by transient conditions, but by transcendent inner light. Lesson 6. Reality's sculptor, how assumptions mold perception. What the mind accepts and assumes to be true wields all the force of external facts. Should I persist in claiming some apocryphal memoir as my own, elaborating its account until immersing myself completely in its created reminiscence, I will soon possess memories as convincing as any legitimate history. Vivid visions frequently override mundane sensory feedback until the culminated delusion achieves an imposing emotional impact and physiological response. Trance states alter awareness such that imagined actions become so experientially real that meaningful imprints on the psyche and soma follow thereafter. Whether veridical or fanciful, that which commands our belief molds perceived reality and even physical manifestation accordingly. Engaging with desired assumptions and outcomes immobilizes counter-influences, enabling manifestation. The present emerges from seeds of conception. To harvest differently, first plant new seeds within the mind's visionary fields. Conviction and congruence render idle fancies substantial. Resolute assumptions summon means for their realization. Clothes Theory in Facts wrote pioneering psychologist William James, and it explains nothing. Clothe facts in theory, and they enlighten the world. Human life gathers significance via contexts of meaning. By choosing empowering frameworks of understanding rather than dwelling in narratives of helplessness, we transform our world entirely. Beyond the gulf and peak lies an undiscovered country waiting to be explored. Come what may, all that enters awareness bends knee to interpretive rule. Even delusional themes compel reactions and resemble reality once imagination immerses us convincingly in their jaws. Sanity-sorted frames of reference determine what our mind admits is true. By consciously defining mental positions aligned with an empowered self-concept, doors previously unapproachable swing open readily. Fresh neural matrices emerge as lighthouse beams, illuminating once obscured interior vistas. There is always further progress beyond the current horizon. Exploring unforeseen inner shores reveals latent talents and repressed longings awaiting activation beneath rigid programmatic clamor. When identity shifts, destiny awakens the unforeseen. Thus, identity remains ever only temporary apparel donned anew with each conscious season, delimiting or expanding accordingly to chosen vistas seized through volition's inner glow. By understanding consciousness and thought as instrumental tools alone, our infinite nature permeates whatever transient roles intention and desire shall direct. Roles play before awareness as directed from backstage soul sight interweaving sense-bound. Temporary experience melts into eternal identity once deemed. Yet ephemeral suffering somatically scars the healing perspective, which lifts it beyond its reach through love's gentle wisdom. Transcendent nature thus emerges from the decision to extend sight respectfully to unexpected heights inside rather than cling to outgrown shells once sheltering the psyche's ripening phases from brutalizing exposure. Subtle realms await exploration by disciplined minds, revealing inner forces constituting the unseen house where habitual furniture lies arranged round transient identities' adopted forms. Conscious evolution proceeds across enormous spans born of coherent yearnings focused thus. By unifying intent, unconscious streams yield comprehension and capabilities unforeseen. Invisible tides shift in deference to the moral stand proclaimed by mankind's luminous elite. Divine treasure lies buried beneath rigid dogmas grasped by those daring to transcend the boundaries of conventional thinking. As we delve into the uncharted territories of consciousness, we uncover the sculptor within, the force that molds perception and shapes our reality. Persisting in claiming narratives, whether real or imagined, reveals the malleability of our minds. Memories, both authentic and constructed, become the clay for this internal artist. Vivid visions override ordinary sensory feedback, imprinting emotional responses that echo through our psyche and soma. In the dance of trance states, Imagined actions intertwine with the experientially real, leaving lasting imprints on the canvas of our existence. Belief becomes the chisel, carving the contours of our perceived reality. The sculptor doesn't discern fact from fiction, it molds what the mind accepts. Engaging with desired assumptions immobilizes counter-influences, unlocking gates to manifestation. The present, a masterpiece of conception, emerges from seeds planted in the visionary fields of the mind. Conviction and congruence breathe life into idle fancies, summoning the means for their realization. As William James suggested, theory clothed in facts explains nothing, but facts clothed in theory enlighten the world. By choosing empowering frameworks and discarding narratives of helplessness, we transform our world entirely. The undiscovered country lies beyond the gulf and peak, awaiting exploration. Even delusional themes, once immersed in imagination, compel reactions and resemble reality. Consciously defined frames of reference align with an empowered self-concept, swinging open previously unapproachable doors. Fresh neural matrices emerge, illuminating once obscured interior vistas. Identity, ever a temporary garment, shifts with each conscious season, delimiting or expanding with chosen vistas seized through volition's inner glow. Consciousness and thought, understood as instrumental tools, allow our infinite nature to permeate transient roles directed by intention and desire. Transcendent nature emerges from the decision to extend sight respectfully to unexpected heights, shedding outgrown shells that once sheltered the psyche. Chapter 2. Assumptions Become Facts. Lesson 1. The Alchemy of Inner Focus. We hold beliefs about the nature of reality based on our sensory perceptions and experiences. Yet the veil of the senses can deceive us. The external world may vanish when we turn our attention inward and focus our imaginative powers. To change our outer reality, we need not expend great physical effort. Rather, we must concentrate on the inner state we wish to see manifested. When we focus our attention so intensely on a desire that it feels real, we imprint this assumption into our consciousness. In time, our assumption gathers the feeling of reality and becomes a visible, concrete fact. Though the senses may deny it, faith in the unseen reality brings it to light. To control attention amidst external distractions, some find it helpful to gaze fixedly at an unreflective surface. Rather than observing the surface itself, look beyond it into an imaginary depth. In that void, envision and hear the desired reality so that it occupies your mind exclusively. After this waking dream, normal senses return, feeling far away. The visible world rushes back in, trying to assert its firmness. Yet, if you remain steadfast in what consciousness reveals, the senses will conform. When inner attention anchors onto the wished-for state, outer reflections align. What was deemed imaginary takes on tangibility. The future alters in accordance with the assumptions held in mind. Repeated focus imbues desire with the right to claim to manifest. Assumption surely becomes fact, for consciousness sculpts reality based on how its malleable substance is mentally shaped. Consider how this may operate with others. If, in your mind, you assume a different attitude towards someone close to you, your interactions with them will change. Though they themselves are not different, your relationship transforms based on the new assumption. You project outward the alteration happening within. The external follows consciousness. Therefore, construct your waking dream with care. The people in your inner world must see you according to your new conception of yourself. What you have assumed to be true of your own state of being must cast its light on all. Convince yourself of the reality of the inner events. Then maintain this certainty with unbroken attention. In time, outer forms align to mirror the destiny conceived. Lesson 2. The Power of Human Imagination. Most believe a sound judgment compares imaginings to the observable world. If my reason and senses suggest confinement, yet I imagine freedom, this imagining seems deceptive. It remains an inner vision, not confirmed externally. But life has revealed many mysteries beyond my logic. Perhaps imagined states hold more reality than the so-called real world suggests. My own experiences compel me to have faith in realities beyond the obvious. Unlike those reliant on formal education, my learning arose directly from my imagination's power. I devoted hours to assuming states contrary to immediate evidence, vividly building realities beyond rationale until inner convictions reshaped the outer. In profound meditation, passers-by even became actors in my fantasy, behaving as I desired. By becoming one with imagination, I magnetically drew the external drama to match the inner. First, we clarify the goal. Then we mentally see and hear its fulfillment so vividly that our senses enter that realm. The inner realms provide substance that shapes the outer precipitates. The world mirrors imagination perfectly. What we have assumed inwardly as true of another, thereby making them free, manifests outwardly. We awaken in others the latent realities we ourselves affirm on their behalf. Let me illustrate how imagined scenarios like these translate into external events. But for those who have not experienced this mystical capacity, disbelief hides behind a veil of logic. Know, however, that in deep meditation, I have called forth things unseen, and they appeared physically. Therefore, I know imagination veils a world of untold wonders and powers. By desiring first and then imagining fulfillment, we rise to express greater realities within us. Yet imagination remains neutral, equally creative or destructive. We must desire wisely and direct its gifts toward good. When the mind grows luminous in meditation's stillness, imagination attracts its likeness. We find what we seek. Consider then what seeds you scatter upon this fertile field. Lesson 3. Mastering the dimensional larger world. Most dreams arise from visions we serve rather than command. But life itself is a mental dream we can learn to steer rather than passively endure. In sleep, we access larger dimensions beyond space-time, though we forget this upon waking. But lucid dreaming allows conscious control within these inner realities, which then reshape the outer ones. I discovered that when becoming lucid in a dream, holding tightly to a stationary object pulls my senses through to awaken somewhere new while still clutching the dreamt item. Thus anchored in this dimensional vastness, I walk imaginatively awake, summoning desired forms and experiences at will. The inner world becomes clay to mold the outer precipitates within the cosmic mind. While awake, we can likewise mentally shift into the larger dimension, enfolding the physical. Here, imagination manifests its objects instantaneously. We need not plant seeds and wait for their bloom. We simply look again, and the harvest ripens before our eyes. What power resides here for those who learn to access it? We need to only consciously fix attention on an outcome in order to call it forth. The prophet's words find literal meaning in this context. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord with you. The mind's movements fashion the next scenes that come into view. When we consciously control thought's direction, miraculous new realities crystallize. We need only persist in calling things that are not seen as though they were, until imagination's fruits cascade into the tangible. I have shared techniques to unlock these wonders. But let me offer another. If, when falling asleep, we can capture a dream object and sustain its hold while waking, this anchors awareness in the greater dimension. We awaken inside the imagination, where thoughts fluidly shape the next emerging acts of the cosmic play according to the patterns we fix within. Master dreamers thus create gods from the realm of the source. Consider the many resolutions fleetingly made on New Year's Day. They flicker briefly and burn out when sundered from their roots in the dimensionally larger world. We must plant our intentions not in passing whims, but in our highest visions. Imagination flows from cosmic realms, shaping events according to the beliefs in which our lives are rooted. Strive to align ever more deeply with imagination's infinite source. Master life's dream. Lesson 4. Becoming that which we desire. Many seek change strictly through external means, social activism, political reform, and violent revolution. Yet lasting change arises from inner work. Outer manipulation alone recycles the same contents in different shapes. We must transform consciousness at its root to transform collective experience. Assume within yourself the qualities and states you wish to realize. Avoid anxiously battling circumstances. What befalls us relates deeply to our self-concept. If we dislike what happens, the cause lies inward. But we need not resent the law binding outer to inner. Properly understood, this truth grants freedom. We can remake reality by transforming who we believe ourselves to be. Meditation focused wholly upon an ideal brings inner union with that state, causing outer reflections to reconstruct accordingly. When we achieve oneness with a vision, our thoughts and behaviors align. Changes in consciousness naturally precipitate changes in environment, relationships, and action. During war, for example, violent emotions descend collective consciousness to a lower plane, birthing increased materialism and greed. By contrast, maintaining ideals empowers our ascension toward them. Thoughts and feelings, whether creative or destructive, contain tremendous transformative power as they reshape us in their likeness. The world we know takes shape according to our self-concept. Rather than focus on unwanted circumstances, we can revise our dominant state of being and thereby watch the world reform around the new vision we defined. The outer always submits to the ruling inner reality. Therefore, let your ideals live brightly within you. Lesson 5. Revising self-concept. Rather than changing external factors, we must change our concept of self. When this inner foundation shifts, the outer forms rearrange accordingly. As we succeed in transforming the inner world, the outer dissolves and reforms around the new blueprint. This highlights the importance of properly directing imagination. We must consciously control where attention flows, avoiding descent down the ladder of consciousness into hate. Our imagination is better spent ascending into our noblest visions of self and world. We grow to express whatever great ideals we contemplate. Do not accept the seeming solidity of the external world. Its transience hides behind the illusion of permanence. We live enclosed in thought, and thought energetically builds its own reflections. The inner world holds the master key to reshaping existence across all levels. Therefore, live imaginatively, seeing through false surfaces. Exercise compassion for those seemingly external to you. They exist within consciousness, being sculpted by their self-concept as you are. Help them revise their inner vision toward uplifting ideals. This is the greatest service you can render another. Nurture thoughts and feelings that enhance your own state of being. Do not anxiously battle against the shadows. Turn attention instead toward the light and fan its flames through creative envisioning. Establish beliefs aligned with your highest intentions. The outer shadows will melt in the dawn you consciously conjure. Lesson 6. Living from the inner masterpiece. True prayer or invocation does not flatter a distant God, but acknowledges the divine depths within ourselves and others. Appeal to the God within you, which fashions all external experience. Pray deeply for self-transformation, aligning with your innermost being. You need not wait for salvation from beyond. Imagination's miraculous power resides within. Look courageously inward, changing all that conflicts with love's radiance. Allow the inner light to guide your vision and actions. As you contemplate high ideals, your thoughts reshape the world. Even fleeting visions send ripples through the cosmic mind, subtly uplifting the collective dream. Return always to noble feeling states. Do not accept limitations. Assume boundlessness, softly parting the veils of ignorance. You have everything you need for the journey. Keep faith in your imagination's capacities. Though the intellect may deny it, remain loyal to the realities that imagination reveals. You are gifted with the power of God when you realize the God within you. Let this inner divinity speak as the master creator. Effortlessly manifest new earthly forms by simply dreaming them consciously. Relax as your imagination whispers myths into your mind. Listen raptly to her guidance and let her stories crystallize into being. You may dwell imaginatively in unlimited worlds, even as focused on the physical. Do not confine yourself to cautious conventions, which arise from fearful rather than empowered visions. Remember the mystic freedom at your core. Lesson 7. Living Divinely Human. I pray that these contemplations may inspire you to live more divinely human, wedded to your innate beauty while fully engaged in world affairs. Test your imagination's powers for yourself. Nature responds to those souls who dare to dream boldly. Do not abandon this quest because its fruits seem fantastical. Imagination's true wonders have hardly been explored. Awaken more fully into the present dream, viewing each choice and action as rife with eternal meaning. Everything you do recycles through the cosmos. Even small acts of compassion send sparks through consciousness, subtly transforming the collective landscape. You wield far greater power than society leads you to believe. Yet take care not to withdraw into remote fantasy worlds, shirking earthly duties for mythical delight. Remain rooted in shared humanity, using elevated visions to uplift the real world rather than escape it. Embrace your imagination's guidance, but balance soaring with grounded living. I pray these words may open new dimensions within your journey, showing life as the story your choices write. May you clearly envision the highest tale imaginable and live the myths your soul whispers as truths that redeem. Write well this cosmic play through how you script each scene. The world awaits your most divine authority. Chapter 3. Your own wonderful human imagination. Lesson 1. The power of imagination. Imagination is one of the most powerful forces within each of us. What we imagine to be true has the potential to manifest in our lives. When we think a thought over and over, it starts to shape our reality. The mind does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically real. With focused imagination, we can make our dreams come true. Great thinkers and leaders throughout history have harnessed the power of imagination to create positive change. Nelson Mandela imagined a free South Africa during his 27 years in prison. He focused on his vision each day until apartheid crumbled. Martin Luther King Jr. shared his dream of racial equality, inspiring a movement. Oprah Winfrey imagined herself as a successful talk show host when she was just a young girl in rural Mississippi. Imagination is like a muscle. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes. We must make time each day to vividly imagine our ideal life. Picture your relationships as you wish them to be. Feel the joy and excitement as if your goals have already been accomplished. Live completely for the end result. The universe will rearrange itself to match your imagined state. There will be challenges on the path. When outer conditions conflict with your vision, persist in seeing through the lens of imagination. Ignore evidence from your senses when it contradicts your inner world. Anchor yourself in the wish fulfilled. Let imagination lead the way. What you think and feel within is what you attract without. Keep your inner thoughts focused only on the good. Dwelling on lack or fear will bring more of the same. Always imagine the best for yourself and others. See them as they wish to be, fulfilling their highest potential. Bless and uplift them in your mind. Forget past hurts or slights. Wish no harm upon anyone. Desire and imagination together are an unstoppable force. When you intensely want something and imagine having it now, all the forces of the universe will move on your behalf to deliver it. Be specific in what you ask for while remaining open to even better than you planned. If you can see it and feel it inside, you can achieve it. Lesson 2. Entering the dimensionally larger world. There are mystical states of consciousness that allow us to enter expanded realms of imagination. In these higher dimensional spaces, manifestation is rapid and complete. Ancient techniques like meditation, chanting, and psychedelics give us access. But simply falling asleep and dreaming can also transport our awareness beyond the constraints of the physical world. In the dream state, our imagination creates rich sensory experiences that feel very real. The people, objects, and environments we encounter have substance and continuity. While dreaming, we typically follow the storyline, rarely realizing we can be the author. But with practice, we can regain control and consciously create our dreams. One powerful technique is to intend to remain aware as you drift off to sleep each night. Repeat an affirmation like, "I will wake up in my dreams and take control." Keep this seed of thought active in your mind. As you begin dreaming, you will suddenly realize you are not awake. At this moment, engage your imagination fully. Demand clarity and stability in the dreamscape. Call out for certain people or items to appear. Interact with your environment, knowing you are the creator. The more you exercise this skill, the easier it becomes. You start to realize the limitless potential that dreaming offers. You are bound only by your beliefs. This awareness can be carried back into the waking state. You glimpse the possibility that ordinary reality is also a type of collective dream. Consensus perception shackles most people to a world they did not consciously create. But the enlightened mind knows reality is mutable. Beliefs shift, and worlds transform. The dimensionally larger universe responds quickly to imagining. Lesson 3. Sculpting your future. Imagine your future not as it will be or could be, but as it is now. View desired outcomes in the present tense. When goals feel already completed, they rapidly precipitate into the physical realm. But seeing better days ahead as something to strive for keeps them forever just out of reach. Visceral feeling and declaring, "I am living my dream life now," collapses time. So sculpt your ideal reality in your mind without limitation. See loved ones as healthy, happy, and thriving. Feel wealthy and prosperous now. Imagine yourself living with passion, joy, and freedom today. Declare it done. Savor it fully. Make the visualized thoughts as vivid as possible. Engage all your senses. The universe instantly reshuffles to your new frequency. Do not worry about the means or timing. The cosmic intelligence choreographing reality behind the scenes is infinitely more clever and powerful than your conscious mind. Outdated, time-bound thinking blocks manifestation. The eternal now is eternally abundant. Structures that limit us only exist in lower realms of consciousness. In higher vibrations, miracles unfold. When challenges inevitably arise that tempt you to doubt, withdraw your focus from the problem, not the solution. Reaffirm your imagined state again and again. Do not acknowledge evidence that contradicts it. Persist in knowing your vision is reality. See what is unseen. Make real what has not yet manifested. Everything seen is a shadow of the unseen. Imagination is the master creator. You are much larger than you think. Your true self is without form. Pure imagination, dreaming worlds into being. Consciousness is fundamental, matter is secondary. Flowing through lifetimes until awakening to your divine eternal nature. This spark of divinity lives in all beings. See God in others. Wish them well. Lift them up. Stand still in gratitude and watch miracles unfold. Lesson 4. Becoming your imagined self. You must be the change you wish to see. This wisdom from Gandhi encourages us to embody the qualities we hope to find in the world. If we want more love, we must become more loving. To receive generosity, be generous first. Wish for others what you would have for yourself. This circular, creative process speeds transformation. Imagine who you would be if you were 10 times wiser, kinder, and more compassionate. How would this best version of yourself behave each day? Adopt those patterns. Make choices aligned with your higher purpose. Maintain thoughts, words, and actions consistent with this vision of yourself. You will start to create this reality. When going through difficulty, surrender stories that reinforce suffering. Do not define yourself as broken or damaged. Healing is remembering your divine wholeness. It is always there within you. Stay centered on being the embodiment of love. This will attract everyone and everything to you in perfect alignment. If you find yourself acting from your ego, caught in anger or fear, pause and reconnect to your presence. These states cut you off from your imagination. Breathe deeply to calm your nervous system. Recognize that all beings want to be at peace. Hurt people. Send them compassion. Once you return to equanimity, you can then consciously create. Make your life itself a meditation. Let go of judgments and needless thinking. Express gratitude for all that arises. Feel your connection to all. Shift focus from, I want this, to, how can I serve? Allow intuition to guide your imagination. Manifest for the benefit of others. As we collectively raise our consciousness, we birth a new earth. Epilogue. We stand together at a crossroads in history. Breakdowns of the old fuel lead to breakthroughs in the new. Moving from separation to unity. From fear to love. As we each awaken, our shared dream brightens. The destination is assured. How quickly we get there depends on our imagination. Imagine people living in harmony and nature thriving. Abundance shared. Creativity unleashed. Children laugh and elders are honored. Differences celebrated. Everyone awakens to their divine nature. Feel it for real now. This new earth is ready to be born. We need only imagine it. Believe deeply that a peaceful, just world is possible. Dream it into being. Align your thoughts, words, and actions with this vision. Inspire others to do the same. As imagination gains force, the momentum is unstoppable. We are far greater than we have been led to believe. Imagine it and make it so.